Hello there, you're watching All 24 World News program live from Algiers. These are today's headlines. Algerian president holds the periodic meeting with representatives of the national media tackling social, political, economic and diplomatic issues. Also coming up, Nigeria is set to hold presidential elections on Saturday, with 94 million voters expected to cast their ballots amid strict security measures. Also ahead in our news, a Palestinian young was killed from his wounds in the West Bank after Zionist army shot him in the head. North Korea fires strategic cruise missiles as US and South Korea hold nuclear attack drill. Hello again and welcome to the program. First off in our news, President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, held a periodic media meeting with representatives of national press in which he tackled many national and international sectors of endeavor, such as the social, political, economic and diplomatic issues. The interview has been broadcast on the national television, radio channels, as well as the private television. The Algerian head of state affirmed that the Algerian-Ukrainian relations are normal, and the Algerian embassy in Kiev, which was closed for security reasons, will reopen in a few days.
هو خدينا قرار أمس مع السيد وزير الخارجية على أساس هذا الأسبوع نعاود نفتح السفارة نتاعنا في كييف. كنا غلقناها لأسباب أمنية. اليوم عاود تفتح ودوك يديروا البلاغ. عندنا علاقات عادية مع أوكرانيا. وعلاقتنا مع روسيا قاعد الناس تعرفها الخاص والعام.
Regarding the Algerian-Spanish relations, President Tebboune deplored their deterioration, expressing his hope that Madrid would correct what he called the wrong steps and unfriendly actions taken by the Spanish government towards Algeria.
العلاقات مع إسبانيا متأزمة منذ حوالي سنة، هل فيه جديد بهذا الخصوص سيد الرئيس؟
ما فيه جديد، وأنا شخصيا متأسف كثير على العلاقات هذه الرديئة اللي بقات بيننا وبين إسبانيا، ومش احنا السبب،
متى ستتحسن العلاقة مع إسبانيا؟
Si vous permettez, monsieur, en d'autres termes, qu'attendez-vous de l'autre partie, monsieur le Président,
j'attends
que ça s'améliore?
Ils ont fait un faux pas clair. الشعب الإسباني خطيه، قلتها مرارا وتكرارا، علاقاتنا مع الشعب الإسباني علاقات طيبة جدا إلى يومنا هذا. احترامنا للملك احترام تام وعارفه هو. بالنسبة لهيئات أخرى إسبانيا راهم يتعاملوا مع بعض. احنا on a gelé les accords de bon voisinage. ما لغيناهمش، mais c'est gelé. On avait les mêmes accords qu'avec l'Italie. Mais pour le moment c'est gelé parce que c'est un acte inamical. تصرف غير ماهوش تصرف تاع أصدقاء ولا تصرف ما جمدنا احنا هلا.
As for the election of Ibrahim Ghali as president of the Sahrawi Republic, President Tebboune considered that Ghali is one of the personalities whose role is recognized even by the Moroccan occupation, stressing that renewed confidence in him took place through a democratic method.
جبهة البوليزاريو تجدد الثقة في إبراهيم غالي رئيسا لها. كيف ترون هذا التطور، خاصة أنه فيه أطراف، فيه دول تسعى إلى أنه تفرض منطق جديد بعيد عن الخطة الأممية والخطة الإفريقية في هذا الخصوص؟
خليهم يحاولوا، المشكلة مطرح من 75، مش من اليوم. إبراهيم غالي كان من الناس اللي دخلوا بالأقل مرتين القصر الملكي في الرباط. قال لما تلاقى الملك حسن الثاني رحمه الله تلاقى مع البوليزاريو، إبراهيم غالي كان من وفد وتفاوضوا وكانوا بعاد على الحل. توفى المرحوم الله يرحمه، أمور ذات تعقدت. الشيء اللي نشهد له أن جبهة البوليزاريو والمؤتمر تاعها كان ديمقراطي. لا اختاروا الصندوق غادي ما فرج روحوا لا بالسلاح ولا بحاجة أخرى.
In regard to the Libyan crisis, the Algerian president renewed the need to go towards a Libyan solution without external interference, indicating that there is an international consensus on the Algerian approach to go to elections after the failure of all the initiatives outside this track.
أولا الطرق القديمة كل جربوها ما مشاتش. إذن لازم إبداع في حل مشكلة الشقيقة ليبيا. أنا من أول وهلة من برلين وأنا أقول الحل يجي من الأشقاء الليبيين. On décide pas à leur place. ما نقررش باللي فلان ليبي صالح وفلان ليبي مش صالح. هذه خطينا احنا. أهل مكة أدرى بشعبها، يعرفوا بعضهم بعض، يعرفوا المناطق، يعرفوا. احنا قلنا باش ما نزيش نغلط كذلك في بعض التعيينات كذا، خلي الشعب الليبي يقرر. السنة الأولى، السنة الثانية، الحمد لله اليوم كل الدول العظمى ماشية مع الجزائر على الانتخابات، خلاص كل قبلوا الانتخابات. بينما لما كنا نقولوا انتخابات كانوا يعتبروها سذاجة. اليوم كاع الناس رجعت للانتخابات. وهذا سبورتاك شو اوبتيميست، لأن الانتخابات هي بداية الحل.
Concerning Mali, President Tebboune renewed Algeria's commitment to expanding its economic support to the northern regions of the country by building schools, digging wells, and providing villages with renewable energies in Kidal and Gao regions.
احنا التزمنا مع الأشقاء في مالي باش شمال مالي هذا باش ندخل اقتصاديا نساعدهم في نبني بعض المدارس في كيدال في قاوة في بني مدرسة ولا اثنين، نعطوهم منشطوضو ونجيبوا الفوراج باش نديروا الماء باش يوصل المياه للعائلات إلى آخره. ربما دي كيت سولار بالنسبة للكهرباء، ديسبونسار دو سونتي، هادو هما اللي نساعدوا بهم. ومشاريع أخرى اللي يطلبوها هما كما هذه باش نخلق سوق، لأن أغلب الأفارقة يعتبرون الجزائر أخوهم الكبير ولازم يساعدهم، ورانا نساعدهم إن شاء الله.
Regarding Algerian-American relations, President Tebboune affirmed that Washington sees Algeria as an influential country and a powerful political and economic force on the Arab and regional levels.
فيه مسؤولين أمريكيين زاروا الجزائر مؤخرا في حرص أمريكي على ما يبدو على تعزيز العلاقة مع الجزائر. اليوم العالم يتغير، في حرب في أوكرانيا. سؤال لي ربما يطرحه الكثير من المتابعين: ماذا تريد واشنطن من الجزائر وماذا تريد الجزائر من واشنطن في عام 2023؟
دولة عظمى تكاد تكون القطب الثاني ولا بالنسبة لتسيير العالم، تحاول توسع النفوذ نتاعها وعارفين بلي الجزائر دولة نافذة في افريقيا وفي العالم العربي وفي البحر الابيض المتوسط. انا قلتها في لقاءات اخرى، قلت غير الجزائر اللي مانيش بالقوة نتاعهم. الجزائر قوة اقتصادية، قوة سياسية معروفة. احنا باش طمأنا اصدقاء الامريكان باللي ماناش خصوم تاعهم، وكانوا دائما واقفين معنا. المؤونات اللي كانت تجينا البواخر تاع امريكا كان بدايه الاستقلال ووصلنا. احنا لازم امريكا تتيقن باللي رانا بلد صديق سياسيا ايديولوجيا غير منحاز لا معاهم ولا مع غيرهم.
Algerian Minister of Trade, Mr. Kamal Rizig, accompanied by his Mauritanian counterpart, Mr. Lamrabat Wilbenahi, supervised on Friday the inauguration of the 11th edition of the International Mogar exhibition in Tindouf, south of Algeria. The exhibition activities will continue until the 4th of next March under the theme Forum for Export and Trade Exchange of West African Countries. About 70 exhibitors participate in the Mogar exhibition, with Mauritania as a guest of honor. The Algerian minister said that the exhibition is of great importance as it is Algeria's gateway to Mauritania, while his Mauritanian counterpart called for developing economic and trade relations between Mauritania and Algeria. Chief and General Manager of the Algerian Saidal Group, Fatoum Akassem, said that the production of medicines has developed a new strategy aimed at strengthening its presence in the African markets, similar to the countries of Eastern Africa, with aims to export about 20% of its production. Here is Zahra Farjani.
Algeria is accelerating its steps for the aim of achieving economic diversification. Saidal, the pioneering group in the production of medicines, is one of the complexes that Algeria relies on to enhance its exports in Africa. Hence, it developed a strategic plan to expand the presence of its products in the African market, starting with Djibouti.
We have about 40 products registered in Ivory Coast and 30 in Burkina Faso. We also carried out our first export operations last week towards Djibouti, and next week we will carry out another operation with about 600,000 cans.
The Saidal complex seeks to meet 80% of the needs of the Algerian market and to export 20% of its surplus production to African countries, a product that is in great demand from many countries, such as Libya.
We are in the process of signing an agreement with several African countries, such as Mali and Niger. We have requests from East African countries, such as Tanzania and Rwanda, who have shown great admiration for our products and our prices. Today, we seek to cover 80% of the needs of the Algerian market and allocate 20% of our production for export.
The Algerian Saidal Group produces more than 160 types of medicines, including the 100% Algerian insulin pens, with a production capacity of 60 million units annually, which will cover the needs of the Algerian market for insulin by 50%.
The United Nations World Food Programme welcomed a €1 million contribution from the government of Italy that will help provide daily meals for children attending schools and nurseries in Sahrawi refugee camps. The funds will also help World Food Programme to provide special nutritious foods to treat and prevent moderately acute malnutrition among children under 5 and pregnant and nursing women.
This contribution has come at the right time as it will cover the urgent needs of refugees in the first months of the year. World Food Programme is grateful to the people and government of Italy for their continued support and for doubling the amount of the contribution compared to last year. This most welcome donation enables us to have uninterrupted support in refugee camps.
42 international human rights organizations called on the Moroccan authorities to release journalist Tawfiq Bouachrin and dozens of journalists and human rights defenders detained for exercising their right to freedom of expression, calling for an immediate end to the persecution of the violated freedom of expression in Morocco. Tunisian President Mr. Kais Saied reassured the immigrants coming from sub-Saharan Africa and legally residing in Tunisia in response to the controversy aroused by his Tuesday statements, which rights activists considered to be racist and hateful. This came during a meeting with the Interior Minister Tawfiq Sharafuddin and the General Director of National Security Murad Saidan dealt with the security situation in the country.
We cannot allow anyone to reside illegally. The Africans in Tunisia are victims in their own countries, and there are those who exploit them illegally in Tunisia. The law must be applied to everyone. We will not allow Tunisian institutions to be compromised, nor will we allow change in the demographic composition of the country.
The Tunisian president stressed the necessity of applying the law on everyone, underlining that no harm to Tunisian institutions would be allowed and that the demographic composition, of the country would not be acceptable to change.
وأود هنا أن أتوجه إلى كل المسؤولين
Let those who are in Tunisia and who are legal residents to be reassured. I would like to address all officials at all levels to treat them well, to take care of them, to take care of all African brothers residing in Tunisia legally, and not to harm anyone.
Nigeria is set to hold presidential elections on Saturday, with 94 million eligible voters expected to cast their ballot amid strict security measures. The election will determine the successor to ongoing President Muhammadu Buhari, who has completed his second and final term. Here's Hassan Burkan with more.
18 candidates will compete for the presidency, with voters also selecting members of the Senate and the House of Representatives in Nigeria. The election takes place amid strict security measures coordinated by Electoral Commission and security services, including the restriction of movement between states until the 11th of March.
We have also made arrangements for armed patrols, armed TOD points near polling stations and collation centers to look at the issue of making the place conducive for law-abiding citizens to come out.
According to opinion polls, the race to succeed Buhari is expected to be limited to 3 candidates: former Vice President Olusegun Obasanjo, Atiku Abubakar of the opposition People's Democratic Party, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the ruling party, which holds a significant influence in the south. There is also Peter Obi, the former governor of Anambra State and the candidate for the Labour Party, who seeks to break the dominance of the 2 main parties and has garnered popularity among young voters on social media.
I'm basically asking how soon do we expect results of election to be declared after polling. I just want to say that we will ensure that it is done speedily, but I can't put a finger on the number of days or number of hours it will take, but it will be done speedily.
In the event that none of the candidates in the presidential contest is able to obtain a majority of votes during the first round, the second round will be held within 3 weeks of announcing the results. The eyes of the world will be on Nigeria as it holds this crucial election.
To some circulating news about gunmen that have killed at least 12 civilians in an attack on a village in central Mali. This is the latest reported attack in the area in a country that is battling with violent insurgency, despite the intervention of foreign troops and UN peacekeepers. A Palestinian source from the medical staff has announced on Friday the death of a Palestinian young man after being affected by a bullet shot by the Zionist army in the city of Al-Khalil in the West Bank. According to the same sources, the young man was shot in the head by Zionist soldiers. The medical staff at the hospital in the city worked hard to save his life. However, he died of his wounds. China has unveiled a 12-point plan in which it calls for a ceasefire and peace talks in Ukraine. The plan, unveiled by Beijing on the first anniversary of the war, has urged all parties to avoid fanning the flames and aggravating tensions. Here's Nabil Khassini.
Because the sound of fire hasn't stopped for a year, and tanks aren't likely to be brought back to their depots, China released a document on the political settlement of the Ukraine crisis, a 12-pillar document that Beijing deems crucial for peace. The paper includes respecting the sovereignty of all countries, abandoning the Cold War mentality, ceasing hostilities, resuming peace talks, and stopping unilateral sanctions.
China is willing to continue to work with the international community to play a constructive role in politically resolving the Ukrainian crisis on the basis of China's position paper on the political settlement of the crisis in Ukraine.
Ukraine has approached the proposal with cautious optimism. Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed China's involvement, but said success would depend on actions, not words. Western leaders immediately called into question China's motives, accusing Beijing of having already taken Russia's side in the war.
China doesn't have much credibility because they have not been able to condemn the illegal invasion of Ukraine. And they also signed just days before the invasion an agreement between President Xi and President Putin on limitless partnership with Russia.
After a full year has passed since the beginning of the conflict, it seems that there is no solution on the horizon and that the fierce war that caused the displacement of millions of civilians is still claiming thousands of victims.
The United States has announced new sanctions against Russia and its allies, new export controls and tariffs aimed at undermining Moscow's ability to wage the war. The White House said that the sanctions are aimed at targets in Russia and third country actors across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East that are supporting Russia in its special military operation in Ukraine. North Korea said it had conducted a rare strategic cruise missile drill on Friday. The exercise involved an apparently operational strategic cruise missile unit of the Korean People's Army, which fired the 4 Hwasong-2 missiles towards the sea off the east coast, of the Korean Peninsula. This comes as the United States announced it had held a military exercise with South Korea focusing on the possibility of nuclear weapons use by Pyongyang. For more news making headlines around the globe, here's the news in brief.
Residents in the coastal regions of Brazil's Sao Paulo state are still reeling from a heavy rainstorm, which has left at least 50 dead and forced upwards of 3,500 others out of their homes since February 19, according to local authorities. Over the past weekend, flooding and landslides triggered by torrential rain unleashed chaos on the coastal areas of Sao Paulo, causing a lot of damage. El Salvador's government moved thousands of suspected gang members to a newly opened mega prison on Friday, the latest step in a controversial crackdown on crime that has caused the Central American nation's prison population to soar. Around 2,000 accused gang members were moved to the 40,000-person capacity prison, considered to be the largest in the Americas. Even before the latest storm in California, much of the state has experienced an unusually rainy, chilly winter. In Los Angeles County on Friday, a blizzard warning was issued for the San Gabriel Mountains north of the city, where snow could fall above an elevation of 1,400 meters according to the Weather Service. Cases of dengue fever continue to rise in eastern Bolivia to the point that health centers have exceeded their capacity to care for the sick. Authorities have been forced to deploy medical tents to regions where 29 individuals have already died due to the dengue epidemic, including children.
Well, that's it for our program. For more, you can always visit our social media platforms. From me and the rest of the team, thank you for watching, and bye for now.